Great news for historians, archaeologists and prophecy lovers alike. Something quite fantastic and extraordinarily unexpected has happened. A truly unprecedented, baffling discovery that is currently shaking the foundations of historical science and the humanities. Earlier this year, scientists, while spelunking on an exploratory expedition in an obscure hidden cavern deep in the south of France, discovered some very well hidden, surprisingly well preserved parchments. These ancient scrolls were instantly collected and immediately brought to the Museum of Natural History in Paris, where they could be examined properly and given a much closer look by the discriminating eye of some very important people. Written on the parchments were apparent quatrains for those poorly versed in the esoteric nomenclature of the truly refined and elegant. A quatrain is a stanza or a complete poem in just 4 lines. The term also refers to a unit with a set rhyme scheme that occurs in certain formal poems, such as sonnets and villanelles. The quatrain is one of the oldest forms of poetry, with origins in several cultures, including China and ancient Greece. The fact that the scrolls contained quatrains begged for intense scrutiny. Anyone who is anyone, and who knows history, and who loves France, and has a warm ticklish soft spot in their hearts for ambiguous prophetic poetry, knows that. Those that are in the know that quatrains are most famously associated with the late great Michael de Nostradamus. Nostradamus was a French physician and reputed seer, who is best known for his world-shattering book, Prophecies, a collection of 942 poetic quatrains, allegedly predicting future events. The book was first published in 1555, and has rarely been out of print since his death. Nostradamus was certainly famous in his own time, but even more so in contemporary times, as the higher folk of modern times have the privileged advantage of broad hindsight, and are able to appreciate a lot more of the Nostradamus predictions that have come to pass. Among Nostradamus's greatest prophecies that came true were Hitler, the man on the moon, the assassination of JFK, 9/11, and Bill Clinton getting blowjobs in the Oval Office. Nostradamus's ability for successful predictions and crystal clear foresight is still to this day unparalleled. The implications of the discovery from the caves demanded verification to be performed, so as to conclusively verify the authenticity of the mysterious documents. Numerous, very expensive tests followed. Ultimately, the scrolls were successfully carbon dated back to the 1500s, so that's already been verified, and this piqued the interests of investigators immediately. After much study, the culmination of many hundreds of hours of exhaustive testing, experiments and research, scientists felt quite comfortable concluding that the quatrains in question were written by none other than Nostradamus himself. It was an absolutely historic, mind-blowing watershed moment. New quatrains of Nostradamus, confirmed, and that's confirmed, with a capital C, and an exclamation point. Yes, it seems 11 more quatrains from the Nostradamus masterwork have been found, bringing the total up to 953. Why Nostradamus decided to edit out these 11 quatrains and exclude them from Prophecies is anyone's guess. Perhaps clues to this mystery can be found hidden within the quatrains themselves? An interesting proposition, to be sure, one that remains to be seen. So, without further ado, the lost quatrains of Nostradamus. Quatrain number 1. A massive earthquake wreaked havoc in the great desert, swallowing up sacred grounds. All the grand towers that once stood fell, as the dried up lands suddenly became besieged by horrendous floodwaters. What was thought of as good was discovered to be actually evil. The thick paralyzing mud was finally washed away by a relentless rain. Quatrain number 2. The self-elected Grand Master authority became wounded. The constant flow of blood could not be stopped. A migration of parasites was anticipated. The winds of change transformed the familiar. Quatrain number 3. A great turbulence stirred the air and sea. Passionate fires burned in the 4 corners of the earth. The great lands became trounced and were made into mud. The new flowers of tomorrow emerged from the soil. Quatrain number 4. The warriors of glory struggled in the great river. Their limbs ached and they lost their breath. Resigned to death, they gave up and relaxed, but found death not, and simply floated down the river. Quatrain number 5. Traces of the future trickled into the present. The waters of the Great Lake became still and motionless. The observer turned around and began to look forward. A mirror was found inside the crafts of mystery. Quatrain number 6. Electromagnetic secrets remained in a shroud. The traditional approaches were revealed to be inadequate. The staircase, within the staircase, was finally discovered. New golden keys were utilized to unlock doors of truth. Quatrain number 7. A gigantic army took up the entire field of battle. Undiscriminating forces began to discriminate. Expected expectations of what was expected turned into expectations of the unexpected. Changes in the foundations coincided with a brand new context, and the ubiquitous army became meaningless. Quatrain number 8. The dawn broke the darkness. The keys to the pyramids were found. The riddle of the Sphinx was solved. A great king returned to reclaim his throne. Quatrain number 9. All became aware of a young source of light and love. Peace and tranquility were his shadows. Everywhere he went, a vibrational force field of bliss and purity followed. No resistance was met with no resistance. Quatrain number 10. A pair of opposite twins locked into an epic battle. The Golden Kingdom was rocked and was all but destroyed. The battle raged on for an eternity that lasted exactly 1 second. The legendary battle was ruled a draw. Bonus quatrain number 11. The snow melted and the winds blew madly. A universal night that was once ignored stepped forward. The raging monster from the south had nowhere left to hide. Its back against the corner, and desperate, the monster leaped from a cliff to its own death. The end. End of the lost quatrains. So there you have it. 11 new quatrains straight from the lips to the fingertips of the marvelous and magnificent Nostradamus. There is much to interpret from these new quatrains, but in this reporter's humble opinion, there are clear messages indicating that we should criminalize abortion, tax the shit out of the middle class, remove all restrictions on private corporations, and definitely continue to burn fossil fuels indefinitely, with any alternative agendas leading to instant torture and death. And that's pretty damn clear. Thank you all for tuning in this evening. Good night.